All right, today we're going to demystify one of the most common and, let's be honest, one of the most frustrating error codes you can get on an LG washer, the dreaded LE error. If you're seeing this on your machine, you know that sinking feeling. So let's figure out exactly what it means and what you can do about it.
So there you are, maybe mid-cycle, and your washer just stops, flashing that LE code at you. It is super frustrating, I get it, but whatever you do, resist that urge to just power it off and on again. The very first step you take is by far the most important one. Seriously, before you even think about troubleshooting, before you Google anything else, just stop. Go to the wall and unplug the machine. This is not just a casual suggestion, it's absolutely critical for your safety and for the health of your washing machine. And here's why we're being so emphatic about that. The LE code isn't some minor software glitch. It's your washer's way of screaming that there is a serious fault happening with the motor. Trying to just ignore it and push through could cause way, way bigger problems. So what is your washer actually trying to tell you with this code? Let's break down what this LE warning really signifies. In simple terms, the LE code means there's a motor overload fault. The machine's brain has detected that the motor is working way too hard and drawing too much electricity. So as a safety measure, it triggers an emergency shutdown to prevent itself from burning out. And trust me, the risks of ignoring it are pretty significant. You could be looking at permanently killing the motor, frying the entire control board, which is expensive, or in the absolute worst-case scenario, you could even be creating a serious electrical fire risk. So yeah, we need to find the root cause. Now, here's the really cool part about this whole problem. There is one incredibly simple, non-technical test you can do right now that will tell you almost everything you need to know. Think of this as the fork in the road for your entire diagnosis. This one test is going to instantly narrow everything down. Is something physically jamming the drum and stopping it from turning? Or has an electrical part gone bad? This one little action is going to point you down the exact right path. Okay, it's called the manual rotation test, and it's super easy. First, double check that the washer is unplugged. Then, just let it sit for at least 30 minutes. You want to give that motor time to cool down. After that, open the door and just try to spin the inner drum with your hand. That's it. That's the whole test. Now, this test gives you two very clear, very different outcomes. If the drum is hard to turn, if it makes grinding noises, or if it just won't budge, you've got a mechanical issue. But if it spins freely and quietly with no problem, well, then your problem is almost definitely electrical. Let's start by going down that mechanical path first. Okay, so for all of you whose drum felt stuck or was making a racket, we are now on the mechanical investigation path. This means something physical is stopping that motor from doing its job correctly. The three most common culprits here are a foreign object, like a coin or a bra wire that's gotten jammed in there, a failed bearing, or a cracked spider arm. Now, finding a straight coin is an easy fix, but those other two, they're much bigger repair jobs. So your first job, and let's all cross our fingers for this, is to grab a flashlight and really carefully check that little space between the inner drum and the outer tub. Seriously, finding a rogue sock or a couple of coins is the absolute best case scenario, and luckily one of the most common causes of a jam. Okay, let's switch gears. For those of you whose drum spun around just fine, your problem isn't a physical blockage. We need to start looking at the electrical parts that actually power and control the motor. And this path, I'll admit, gets a little more technical. So, if you're comfortable and safe using a multimeter, the next step is to test the motor windings. You'll need to access the motor, then test the resistance between the three pairs of terminals you see here. What you're looking for is a nice, consistent reading, somewhere between 2 and 10 ohms for all three tests. If any of those readings are way off, like 0 or infinite, you've probably found your culprit, a bad motor. Now, if those motor readings all check out okay, the next logical suspect on our electrical journey is the main control board. And you can often diagnose this one with just a visual inspection. Pull it out and look for any obvious scorch marks, bulging parts, or even just sniff for that distinct smell of burnt electronics. All right, so once you have a solid diagnosis, whether it was a simple sock jam or a fried control board, you are faced with the big question. Is this thing actually worth fixing? Or is it time to go shopping for a new machine? Let's look at the numbers. What's really interesting here is the probability. There's a 30% chance your issue is just a simple object jam. That's a free fix that just costs you a little time.
But that means the other 70% of the time, you're looking at a major component failure that is definitely going to cost you some money.
Let's take a common major repair like a cracked spider arm. You can see on this chart, even if you do the work yourself, you're looking at a couple $100s in parts. If you hire a pro, that repair could easily be $400, $500, even $600. And that's starting to get uncomfortably close to the price of a brand new machine. And this brings us to a super useful rule of thumb for any appliance repair. It all comes down to this one number, 50%.
It's called the 50% rule. It's a really simple financial guideline. If the total cost to repair your old machine is more than half the cost of buying a similar new one, it's usually a smarter financial move to just replace it.
So, to bring this all home, here is your action plan. First, unplug the machine immediately. Then do that manual spin test. That'll tell you if you're hunting for a mechanical jam or an electrical ghost. Always check for that simple foreign object first. If it turns out to be a bigger job, use that 50% rule to help you make a smart financial choice. And hey, probably the most important tip, know your limits. If you feel out of your depth, just call a professional. And that really leaves us with the final question. And the power is now in your hands. With this knowledge, you can make a truly informed choice. So take a look at your machine, run that simple test, and decide for yourself. Are you about to perform a simple, satisfying fix? Or is today the day you finally get to go shopping for an upgrade?